we checked out the S20 Ultra, S20 Plus, and the S20, but there was this new phone, new form factor that also showed up at the same event, so you know we have to check that one out. This is the new folding device from Samsung, but it's much different than their last folding device. Of course, the Galaxy Fold was kind of more like a folding tablet, really, because when you opened it up, it was much bigger than a phone. Then Motorola came with their next generation Razr, that was the Motorola Razr 2020, and then Samsung did their very own version of that kind of a fold. Folds into this tiny little square and then pops open into a smartphone. There's the Galaxy Fold. Now, nothing against this. This thing is a lot of fun. When it's in your pocket, it actually feels bigger already than a typical smartphone. Then when you open it up, as you would most of the time, as fun as this thing is to use, that's really a tablet at that point. To shrink a device down, that premise could be attractive to a completely different group of people from just the power users who want a tablet in their pocket, let's say. Let me just give a quick pocket on that. Hold up. Let's do a pocket comparison of that versus here we have the S20 Ultra. Yeah, that one pokes out. It's a little bulkier because it's folded up, but this one, it almost goes right to the edge of the pocket. This one definitely feels less cumbersome. Yeah, it's a flip phone. You can do that with it, although it's more of a two-handed thing. Maybe closing it for sure you can do. This screen is actually glass rather than plastic, but it does feel kind of nice to the touch. Now you definitely feel the crease in there. How much does that affect you? How much do you get used to it? Let me know what you think. Give a scroll past that crease there in the middle.
You can definitely feel it.
It's quite a crease.
It's yeah, it's definitely there.
You
probably adjust to scroll at the bottom.
You just scroll down here and you never touch the crease.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to offend some, but the advantage here, Will, is that's the thing. That's the magic trick. You can also see the camera unit while you're looking here. So no, you're not getting a fancy, enormous camera layout like the Ultra model S20, but you got two cameras in there. You also take a little step back in terms of performance. Not a crazy step back. It's an 855 Snapdragon chip instead of the 865 that you have in the S20 lineup. It does feel weird poking the back end of your fingernail into the screen surface like that. Okay, so you dig your thumb and then you kind of do that. It's doable. This phone right here, it's not Galaxy Fold money, but it's S20 Ultra money. As you can see, since it's such a tall device, you get enormous black bars when you have a regular 16:9 piece of content like this. You can zoom in and fill the whole thing, but you're chopping off a fair amount of the top and bottom. I understand people are watching content like this. When I'm holding it in landscape here and I'm watching this content, I don't think about the crease at all. As I just wobble it around, that crease will show back up. It is a limitation of the technology as it stands right now, and so you kind of have to address it. It's a question people have. I'm not trying to rain on any parade. I think it's a magnificent feat of engineering. I think the thing is very cool, but it's just something that you're kind of forced to talk about because that's what people do. They buy a thing, they inspect a thing, and they're gonna, for their $1,400, you best believe they're gonna be rubbing that crease. Just recording a video right now, so. On the phone call, but then Kirk formatted the card from the original intro. Now this one, it's just a mono. Just a mono setup, just coming out of one speaker. Does get cleaned up a little bit? A single speaker setup on a phone, you can cover it accidentally, particularly with this one, you're gonna hold like this. So that's a bit of a drawback, but probably not a deal breaker, again, for the target audience of this particular device. All right, in the camera setup, you've just got these two toggles. You have the 0.5x, which is the wide. I think that's the more important secondary option. And then you have the standard. You could go in there and hit it with the digital. Obviously, that still exists, and they give you some toggle options here to utilize if you prefer. On the video standpoint there, if we head into the settings, you can see that our rear resolution goes all the way up to 4K at 60 frames. So no fancy exotic 8K on this particular device, but we didn't expect to see that, so that's pretty obvious. So the camera can work at any stage. It's almost like having a stand for your phone, as you can see. This is an alternative to just laying your phone flat on the table. So you could have it like this. Look, I could snap a selfie right there. Bang. It's like a little tripod, and bang. Look at those. Now, of course, there's no bend in them once you pop them out. That's just a straight up type of solution there. So it's kind of interesting. It's created some opportunities for Samsung with their One UI design and within certain applications to take advantage of this midway operation. The multi-view, which on other devices will split your phone in a variety of ways, has a setting here so you can have a halfway right along the crease and essentially have a dual display setup. So on the bottom, I could open up, let's say, camera like that. There's Jack. And then on the top, you have a YouTube video, which is playing. Now, of course, you could do this with any variety of applications. Now you're like, oh, maybe there's an actual advantage to having this crease where you could work around it. You could have, for example, a messaging app down on the bottom. You have this sitting on the table. You have a video playing on the top, and you're tapping some sort of message back to someone without disrupting your video. But it is one of the benefits of Samsung at least putting some energy into the software component and how to think about these emerging form factors. Now, if you're on the outside of the device and you double tap the power button, you can see, look at that, that's weird. So the selfie camera will actually pop up in that tiny little display. How big is this display right here, Will? It's a 1.1 inch display, but I guess it lets you sort of frame something up and snap a photo. And then what happens if I open it up? Boom, you got your photo. Sometimes it's hard to grip the huge phone and then at the same time trigger the selfie. So this one lets you quickly double tap into it. And then this button is super easy to press single-handed to get it far away from yourself. And you get a smaller battery in here. You get less horsepower, obviously. The screen is still pretty large. It's 6.7 inches. Now, Samsung says that they've done some improvements here around the hinge design to stop debris from getting in there. So they say it's going to be a bit more durable. On the S20 Ultra, which is available for roughly the same price, it's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, whereas in here, it's only going to be 3,300 milliamp hours. So I think that's going to be a big consideration for power users who are interested in this device. But like I said, I think the target here is kind of different. And I think maybe that's why Samsung's release and announcement happened all at once. They're like, look, we have something for everyone. I gotta say, I'm glad Samsung's working on it, because it's cool in an environment that's full of these slabs to have these alternative options pop up. One thing I will say, you pick up one of these and start using it, you're gonna catch some attention for sure when you pop that thing open. Is it cool enough? Is the novelty aspect enough to push you away from, say, purchasing the Ultra for your $1,400?
100%.
Oh!
Yeah, if I could have this,
Oh!
I would take this over the Ultra.
Wow, he took the Ultra in the last video. He just switched. Will, did your decision change, or do you stick to the regular S20 if forced to choose from this entire bunch?
I go for S1.
He stays with S20, ladies and gentlemen. How about you, Jack? We never asked you. We've now seen all the phones. We have the fancy Flip. We have the standard S20, S20 Plus, and S20 Ultra. Which one, if you're forced to jump ship from iPhone, which obviously isn't going to happen, but if you had to choose?
I'd go Ultra.
He goes Ultra. That's not what I expected. Jack goes full cinema mode. He's hanging on to a Ronin SC, and all of a sudden, he's in Ultra mode. Ultra territory. It all happened early in the morning. It's very exciting times. It's always cool when Samsung puts out new stuff. This is no exception. This is actually a little better than usual because there's so many different things to look at. They're doing work, man. People are putting stuff out. You got to appreciate it. Technology is wild. Stuff is folding, and we're talking about creases in 2020. It's amazing. I'm telling, when this stuff first started, it was full out science fiction. It's amazing how quickly we get used to things. All of a sudden, you carry the Fold for a while. You're like, yeah, screens fold now. Screens fold now. Then you see the Motorola, screens fold now. Then you see this little Flip. Yeah, screens fold now. And eventually, given enough time, people are gonna be everything's gonna fold. Eventually.